All right, today we are diving deep into how the software you use every single day actually gets made. We're talking about two totally different ways of thinking, two competing philosophies that run the digital world: Waterfall versus Agile. It all really starts with a simple question. Have you ever wondered why some apps on your phone seem to get new features every couple of weeks, while other big software projects feel like they take years to come out? Well, the answer is all in how they're built, and it reveals this massive shift in thinking that has completely changed how we create things.
Okay, but before we can really compare these two approaches, we need to get on the same page about what it actually means to build software. Because you're going to see it's a whole lot more than just tapping away at a keyboard and writing code.
At the heart of it all is this discipline: software engineering. You should think of it as the grown-up professional way of creating software. It's not just about some brilliant idea popping into someone's head. It's a really rigorous process of investigating, planning, and managing a project to, actually solve a real-world problem or just make our lives a little bit easier. So every software engineering project follows a kind of roadmap. It's called the Software Development Lifecycle, or SDLC for short. It's basically the blueprint that takes this huge, complicated task of building an app and breaks it down into a series of logical, manageable steps. And here's the key thing to remember: every single project has a life cycle, no matter what method they're using. So where does all the time and effort actually go? You might think it's all about coding, right? But that's where a lot of people get it wrong. Writing the actual code and doing the first simple tests, that only accounts for about a third of the work. The rest of it, the vast majority of the time, is spent on things like analysis, design, testing how all the parts work together, and documentation. Building software is this giant, complex puzzle, and coding is just one of the many pieces.
Okay, so know that we've got that foundation. Let's look at our first major methodology, the waterfall method. And the best way to think about this is exactly what the subtitle says. It's like building a physical bridge. It's very traditional, very planned, and very, very structured.
The process is literally what the name says. Each step flows downwards into the next, one after the other, just like a waterfall. First, you do all the analysis. Once that is completely signed off, you move to design. Once the design is 100% locked in, you move to code. And here's the crucial rule: you can't go back up. You can't be in the coding phase and decide to change the design. Each phase has to be totally finished and approved before the next one can even start.
And that brings us to the single most important, absolute core assumption of Waterfall. You have to know everything you want to build right at the very beginning. The plan is fixed, the blueprint is final, and once you move past a stage, that's it. There is no going back to make changes. It is truly set in stone.
Now, this super rigid approach, it has some clear pros and cons. On the plus side, it's incredibly methodical and structured. And because everything is planned out in so much detail, you usually end up with fantastic documentation. But the downsides, well, they're huge. Projects can take forever. The model is completely inflexible if the customer changes their mind. And worst of all, a critical mistake in the design might not be found until you're right at the very end of the project, when it's incredibly difficult and expensive to fix. And that total inflexibility created a major, major problem. In the fast-moving world of technology, a perfect plan that you made a year ago might be completely useless by the time you actually finish the product. The plan just couldn't keep up with the real world. This quote right here just captures the ultimate nightmare of the waterfall model perfectly. You can follow the plan to the letter, spend years building this beautiful, perfectly documented piece of software, only to launch it and find out that nobody wants it anymore because the market has changed or their needs have changed. You've built the perfect solution to yesterday's problem. So this brings us to the big, critical question that Waterfall just has no answer for. What do you do when you can't know everything at the start? What if the requirements are a little fuzzy or the market is changing fast? What do you do when you're exploring brand new territory and you can't possibly have a perfect map before you start your journey?
Well, the answer was a complete revolution in thinking called Agile. And if Waterfall is like building a bridge with a fixed, perfect blueprint, then Agile is like exploring a new continent. You have a general direction you're heading, but you're constantly adapting your path based on what you actually find along the way.
Agile is a whole different philosophy. Instead of one long, straight-line process, it's all about working in small, repeatable cycles. It values flexibility over having a rigid plan, constant collaboration with the team and the customer, and getting feedback from real users early and often.
And the benefits are like a point-by-point takedown of Waterfall's biggest weaknesses. With Agile, you can finally adapt to change. You can get a working product out to your customers much, much faster. You improve the quality because you're constantly getting feedback. And maybe most importantly, you dramatically reduce the risk of spending all that time and money building the wrong thing. It's a complete shift from stick to the plan to respond to change. Now, Agile isn't just one specific thing. It's more of a mindset that has several different frameworks. And the most popular one by far, we're talking a huge 2/3 of Agile teams use it, is called Scrum. The whole idea behind Scrum is working in these short, focused bursts of activity, usually 1 to 4 weeks long, called sprints. And at the end of every sprint, the team delivers a small but usable piece of the final product. And it's not just Scrum. There's a whole family of Agile frameworks, each with a slightly different focus. You've got Kanban, for example, which is all about visualizing your workflow to manage a continuous stream of tasks. There's Extreme Programming, or XP, which really zeroes in on the technical side of things to ensure super high-quality code. And then you have these massive frameworks like SAFe, which are designed to help huge enterprise-level companies apply these Agile ideas across hundreds of teams. So after all that, we have these two completely different ways of building things. Which one is better? Well, the real answer is, it depends. It's all about picking the right tool for the job you're trying to do. It all comes back to that central analogy we've been using. Waterfall is the bridge builder. It is the perfect choice when you have clear, stable, unchanging requirements, like, actually building a bridge, or maybe a critical system for NASA where failure is just not an option. Agile, on the other hand, is the explorer. It's built for a world where you expect requirements to change and evolve. Like if you're building a brand new app and you need to figure out what your users actually want as you go. So here's the bottom line, the most crucial point of all of this. The debate isn't really about which method is better in some absolute sense. It's about making a strategic choice. Are you building something where all the rules are known and they're not going to change? Or are you heading out into the unknown, where you need to be able to learn and adapt along the way? So we've gone from the rigid certainty of Waterfall to the adaptive exploration of Agile. It's clear the way we build software has fundamentally changed. And that just leaves us with one last question to think about. In a world that is only getting faster and more unpredictable, what's next? What new ideas are already out there waiting to become the next big revolution?